All right, hello, we have attendees entering now. Welcome everyone to the 2021 Virtual FAM Tour brought to you by Amerigo Education. We're so excited. We're going to give everyone a couple minutes to gather into our room today. Okay, we have Paula connecting. That's good. We'll introduce the event team as soon as she's on. Hello, Paula.
Hello.
All right, we are at 65 here. I think we're gonna kick things off here in just a couple minutes. We have a large attendance today with so excited to say hello to all of our business partners across the world from here. All right, sorry about that. We are broadcasting live on YouTube. So we have that going on in the background as well. That's great. We are at 67 right now. All right. Okay, it's holding steady. So I think we're good to begin the welcome session. Craig, if you're ready.
I'm ready, if you're ready.
All right. Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome again to our 2021 Virtual FAM Tour brought to you by Amerigo Education. We're just so excited to bring all of our business partners and the Amerigo community together today for one event for all of our regions, our important network throughout the world. We have an exciting lineup today of informative sessions, innovative, creative ideas, and all the good recaps of everything that we've done over the past year and good things to come for 2021 and in the future. The first speaker needs no introduction. Craig Pines, our CEO of Amerigo Education. He brings to us several years of leadership within education, and he's been charging a lot of our innovative ideas and projects that we will go over today. Craig's going to welcome everyone. Without further ado, Craig.
Thank you, Mike. And yes, welcome to Amerigo partners around the world. This is truly a global event. We're extremely appreciative of your support, and we value our relationship with you and the trust that you've placed in Amerigo. Our teams worked incredibly hard to put on this event. For those of you and many of you who are in the audience here and probably watching live, you've been in the Amerigo audience. We normally do a FAM tour in September where everybody's visiting campuses across the US, and then we finish with a big party in the Chicago office. So unfortunately, now 2 years running, we're not able to do that. I can promise you that event will continue to be an Amerigo tradition. I always look forward to that. The opportunity to see so many familiar faces, great supporters and friends of Amerigo, and also meeting new partners. But so today we've got locations literally across the globe, both in person and virtual. It's a ton of work, as I'm sure you can imagine. So Mike, Paula, Duan, many Amerigo team members have been working for weeks to put this together, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. We have a great program for you. Our goal is to get you excited about the great things that are happening at Amerigo and provide you with the tools and information so we together can have a great fall recruitment season. And so again, you're going to, we also want you to have some fun here. So just to get rolling, it goes without saying that the last 18 months have been incredibly challenging. The pandemic has impacted, all of our lives in so many ways. Certainly on a human level, we really do hope that you and your loved ones are safe and healthy. We know so many have been through hardship It's a period unlike any other, and one certainly that we hope to never relive. But from a business perspective, we hope you know that Amerigo has shown, with no doubt, that we're prepared to serve students in literally any conditions. It was an incredibly challenging time, of course, for all of us, but our staff taking care of hundreds of students in our campuses throughout 2020 and into this year, in pandemic conditions where obviously life was very disrupted, and we kept everyone safe. And that's really a testament to the passion and commitment and dedication of our campus teams and the entire Amerigo team. And we really hope that you understand and convey to your families that there is no one more prepared and no better place for families to send their high school students than to Amerigo. And safety is, as you know, and one of the primary reasons you'll send families to us is because we keep students safe. But in addition to that, right, we keep them on track. They come to us because they ultimately want to achieve their goal of graduating from a U.S. high school, and now with our Canada program, a Canadian high school, and then attend a top university, either in North America or globally. And despite the incredibly difficult circumstances, we not only kept everyone safe, but we kept our students on track. They achieved their goals, they stayed progressing academically, and achieved some wonderful university outcomes. We also demonstrated that we have the financial wherewithal to survive the inevitable cycles that exist in international education. Many of us have been doing this for many years, and we've seen cycles, whether it's financial or health related or political factors, that will impact the flow of students from one country to another. But we want to make sure that you know that we are financially very stable and have the stability and support to not only weather difficult circumstances, but to thrive in challenging times. Our team has an amazing spirit. We're incredibly creative and innovative. We launched in the midst of all the challenges. We launched a program in China, a boarding program. We sent a group of students to Dubai who ultimately want to enter the U.S. They spent 2 weeks there this December. We'll have another program this spring like that. We opened up in Canada. We're constantly looking forward and trying to be better, try to serve you better and families better, and we have. There's no one in our industry that can point to the stability and success and innovation that we've shown over this past 18 months, and there's a lot more to come, I can assure you. This period's certainly been difficult globally as well as in the U.S., both from a COVID perspective and the political environment. But things are rapidly improving, and the U.S. remains the #1 destination for international students. COVID vaccine rollout is well underway. We are going to hear about that just in a little bit on the latest statistics, but we are on a path to have the vast majority of the country vaccinated here in the next couple of months. The new President Joe Biden and his administration have committed to have enough vaccine for every person in the U.S. Certainly, our staff is vaccinated almost across the board, and we'll have a program for you as it becomes available for students as well. And just as importantly, the Biden administration has already gone on record as saying that international students will be very welcome here. We're early days in the administration, but students are going to feel welcome again in the U.S. We're hard at work to help students get visas here for this fall semester, and we're incredibly positive about the change that is already underway, and really the time is now. families have been watching and to some degree sitting on the fence in terms of their destination. But our goal here today is to, again, give you the tools and information you need to make sure you can walk your families down the path and help them understand that Amerigo is the best place to be. This August, it's our 5-year anniversary. I'm incredibly proud of that. We launched August 1st of 2016. Several of you have been there with us since the beginning. Many of our early partners showed, incredible faith and trust in us, and others said, we love your story, but we want to kind of sit back and watch and see if you actually can live up to your promise, the promise that we were talking about since very early days. And I can say without a doubt that we have, and we've exceeded that promise. And a lot of that is a direct testament to our relationship with all of you. We wouldn't be where we are, which is the leading provider for international students in the U.S., for high school students in the U.S., without you. We're building our businesses together, and that's going to continue. We've had somewhat of a pause here, but we're incredibly excited to continue on the growth trajectory that we started. And 5 years is a major milestone. And again, as I said at the beginning, we will continue the tradition of the Friday party in the Chicago office. So stay tuned for that. As soon as we're able to do that, we're certainly going to. You're going to hear just a little bit from Rob Schnieders and Katie Blue on our Amerigo Promise, as well as the University Advantage program, the guidance that we provide students to enter, a top university, and the results from the class of 21 are just phenomenal. I'm not going to steal their thunder, but you'll see that again in the face of a global pandemic and incredibly difficult circumstances with students all over the world. Our campus teams and Rob and Katie and Sarah and our central teams have helped our students position themselves for some truly wonderful university outcomes. So really excited for you to hear about that. In addition, it really has been challenging to keep students on track academically and with their English language when some were on campus but not able to go to school, some were sitting at home studying online, and then others in a boarding program that we were running. And so our staff just came together, and regardless of where anybody was located, we focused on students first, which is what we always do, and the results are excellent. ELL results continue to improve. Students, GPAs continue to rise. So I'm very proud of everything our team has done here. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you have a great program. I'm about to, Mike's going to play for you a video with Chris Hoehn-Saric, our founder of Sterling, and hope you enjoyed the interview. Thank you. Hello and welcome. I'm Craig Pine, CEO of Amerigo Education, and I'm here today with Chris Hoehn-Saric, who is Managing Director of Avathon Capital. Chris, how are you today?
Great, Craig.
Thanks for joining us. And Chris, can you just tell the audience, for those who don't know you, a little bit about you and your role as Managing Director at Avathon?
Absolutely. Craig, I'm really pleased to be here. I chair Avathon Capital, and at Avathon, we've been for the last 30 years been involved with building multinational education businesses. And as such, I bring a deep background in areas of building education companies, and we've been really pleased to partner to build Amerigo and all of its operations.
Wonderful. And why is international education important to you, and how did you get into the space?
Craig, I bring a particular personal perspective to international education. I'm a first-generation American. Both of my parents were products of World War II. My mother is from China and experienced the occupation that occurred during World War II. And my father grew up in Europe under the difficulties of World War II there. They both lost relatives, and ultimately, end of World War II, came to the United States. What really made it possible, and the United States was always this beacon of opportunity around the world, and what made it possible for our family to succeed was ultimately access to American education. My mother's family moved to a really small town in Virginia, Blacksburg, Virginia, which had about 4,000 people. This was back in the late 40s. And my mother spoke no English at the time. And it was only actually access to the high school education, a teacher who really focused on providing assistance and English language instruction, and then ultimately access to American universities that helped our family succeed. So I have a personal and deep sort of respect and appreciation for what education can do for a family. And as such, the chance to participate and build an organization that helps children and kids around the world access the best education in the world, both at K-12 and higher education, is something I'm really proud to be a part of.
Well, I love that story. Of course, I've heard it before, but thanks for sharing with our audience. So in your view, Chris, why is Amerigo Education the right place for ambitious students who want to study at a top university in the U.S.?
You know, preparing for U.S. universities is not easy when you're outside the United States. And as well as many schools do that around the globe, no matter what one doesn't have that direct experience with American education and the chance in an immersive environment to both learn English and prepare from an academic and social perspective to what are the necessary skills and capabilities to be most successful in both admissions to American higher education, as well as success once you get there. And again, I've seen this firsthand, and there's a particular value to being able to spend a few years in the United States under sort of wise guidance and support to prepare oneself. And it ultimately manifests itself in two ways. One is access to the best schools. US universities have a really difficult time assessing students from around the world. It's very difficult for them to really appreciate the distinction between different schools, the education system, and how well schools are prepared. They're used to looking at students who've been prepared in an American system. So that gives one a chance by participating at Amerigo to be able to really show one's best capabilities for access to the best American colleges and universities. And of course, once one is in a university, the chance to ultimately succeed the best one is able to. It's like onboarding and starting a race when you're not prepared. Amerigo prepares one really for that successful start to an American university. And it really supercharges the chance to both get in as well as succeed once there.
Very well said, and certainly our university outcomes will validate those points. We've had a wonderful run here in the early decision period in 2021.
That's great.
And so great. So we're able to prepare students to get into top U.S. universities. But why are those the best universities in the world?
Well, the U.S. has been really fortunate where the United States has been committed to a university system that's available to many citizens here and around the world for more than 200 years. And as such, we built some of the leading and best universities, frankly, anywhere one can find on the globe. And it's expressed itself ultimately in the success of the graduates and in the nature of the faculty of those institutions. So there are more Nobel laureates in American universities than any other university system around the world, giving our students access to the finest education possible. It's also an environment that allows students to ultimately creatively figure out what they're both best at and to prepare to be both citizens and leaders in whatever country and whatever industry they participate in. So whether one is thinking about things like engineering or on business, American universities are the best in the world. And ultimately, you can see it in what the people who have graduated from the universities have accomplished. And we see that around the world in leaders in government, in industry, in science and technology. These are all places that have been helped. And so this kind of multicultural, strong foundation of world education is something that's really unique to the American system. And again, at a personal level on things, it's what's propelled and allowed my family to participate really in ultimately the success we've enjoyed has been all because we've had access to the best education.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chris. So obviously it's been a challenging year to say the least, but as we're coming to the end of COVID, or at least certainly we're off the peak and folks are getting vaccinated. Why is now a good time for international students to come to the U.S.?
You know, it's the United States has had a challenging time with COVID, and it's one of the areas where there are things we could have done better. But perhaps the thing that we have done well is in ultimately making our system ready for vaccines and availability of those vaccines. And so in that respect, the United States is now coming out and will be a fully vaccinated country over the next several months. And as such, the ability to return to normal face-to-face and interactive instruction is here. And so this is actually the moment, I think, where I couldn't have said this with the same certainty at all in the fall, but we're actually coming out of it very quickly with a very accelerating base from a standpoint of vaccinations for the public and population. And that sets things up actually for the fall. In fact, when we look today, as President Biden has outlined, by May 1st, we expect to have enough doses of vaccine available that there will be no restrictions. Everyone will simply be able to go to their corner pharmacy and have access to vaccines. And by the end of May, will be enough doses to actually vaccinate every adult in the United States. And as such, it really sets things up for the fall for a great start of school.
Without a doubt, and certainly all of those watching this are somewhere overseas, but Chris and I can both tell you that indeed vaccines are available, and we're seeing just the rapid distribution. So by the time you're watching this video, I would guess a good percentage of the country will have had at least their first vaccine. What do you predict the fall period, the 2021-22 school year will look like for American high school students?
You know, it'll look surprisingly normal. I think we're going to be back in school, having had, again, the large majority of the population having been vaccinated. We've already seen dramatic declines in the infection rate, and with the current rate and the corresponding increase in vaccinations, by the end of summer, I fully expect that school will be widely available, and to some degree, no different than it was pre-pandemic. Obviously, there'll still be safety precautions, and it's appropriate for us to be concerned and make sure that we're always vigilant to make sure that that school is safe and healthy for all students and faculty involved. But I think at the current rate, I think there's a good chance that school will simply return back to normal the way it was for all intents and purposes.
Certainly feels that way. So can you share with the audience, Chris, how Avathon Capital supports Amerigo, particularly as we're coming out of this incredibly challenging period?
The advantage we have, and Avathon is part of Sterling Partners, of which I helped co-found 30 years ago, and we have a multi-billion-dollar portfolio of businesses that are involved in education, both here in the United States as well as outside the United States. And we have a deep history of having worked through various circumstances with our different organizations that we've supported. And we support them in a variety of ways. We support them through capital resources, and both through expansion as well as through difficult times. We support them actually through management and boards. And so it's part of really an ecosystem of companies that work collaboratively together, really to serve students first. We've been lucky, and one of the things that the experience on things, over the years, we've built businesses that have served students around the world. One of the businesses actually rolled out, as an example, the TOEFL program, the electronic TOEFL program around the world to more than 150 countries. And we provided, again, the resources, capital, as well as the management expertise to help do that. And that gave us sort of a foundation. And so within this ecosystem, we hope to bring experience of and companies that work together and collaboratively to be the market leader in their particular area. What that specifically really has allowed us to do is, at a time when the world was disrupted and when a lot of organizations lacked the resources or the commitment to be able to continue to serve students well, Amerigo was different. We were able to take advantage of that and further our leadership in the marketplace because we never, even for a moment, didn't serve the students that we had committed to and the schools that we had partnered with. As such, today, that puts us in a position where more universities want to work with us because they know we're the market leader. More high schools want to work with us because we know they're a market leader. The best teachers want to work with us because they know we're there through difficult times as well as good times. So that's what we really hope to be, is sort of the behind the scenes to be able to support the entire team against being the market leader in international education.
Well, all very true, and certainly on behalf of the Amerigo team, we're extremely grateful and fortunate to be part of the Avathon portfolio, and building on that, Chris. In terms of your support, the expansion that we've been able to do, well, many organizations have actually had to pull back, and some may actually have had to pull out of the market altogether. Can you share a little bit with our audience on some of the ways we're actually we're growing despite of the macro challenges?
Yes, absolutely. And I think to your point, Craig, I think our first, and you did this so ably, and the team worked on it at such a hard way. Our first obligation during the crisis was to make sure that every one of our students was well served, regardless of whether they were traveled or other issues, and so that the parents' commitments and the students' commitments to us were equally met with a commitment back to the families. And so I think we did that well, and that was making sure that even when life was uncertain, when there were challenges around the world, that Amerigo stood tall and made sure that it was there to support everybody. But we went a step further, and as you referenced, we took a step back and said, we know that a lot of organizations were actually going to fail at this time, and that they would actually leave students and families, our agent partners and others, ultimately without the support that they needed. And we decided we would actually increase and double down on ultimately both options for our students in terms of how they can be best served, and our partner K-12 schools as well as universities. So specifically, we've expanded into Canada now to make sure that there's an option available to our students in the Canadian marketplace. We've continued to grow our programs in the United States, offering different ways to serve students both onshore and in virtual ways. And we'll continue to support students in places like China with an on-ground option if there's any late travel or late visa issues. We fully expect, because the Biden administration is very different than the previous administration, that travel will resume as countries grapple with how things like vaccine passports and other things work. But we're not certain that they will all be resolved by the exact beginning of fall. And as such, we're going to intend to support our students with on-ground options in China until such time as travel resumes in a normal fashion, which we certainly expect this year. But we just want to make sure that any student who's committed to us is served in a way that's seamless and without disruption. So starting in China and immediately come to the United States as travel resumes is another option that we've made sure we've committed to.
Yeah, thank you for summarizing that for our partners. We obviously stand ready to support all of our partners, and we're excited about the coming school year. A number of great things ahead. We know we're going to have continued great outcomes for our students this spring, and appreciate your time today, Chris.
Well, great. Well, thanks, Craig, and best of luck.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for summarizing that for our partners. We obviously stand ready to support all of our partners, and we're excited about the coming school year. A number of great things ahead. We know we're going to have continued great outcomes for our students this spring, and appreciate your time today, Chris.
Well, great. Well, thanks, Craig, and best of luck.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much to our audience for being patient through our technical difficulties there. Note to myself, don't mute while I'm sharing a video. So excellent interview, Craig. Thank you so much for taking your time to interview Chris. I think we have about a minute or so. If we have any questions or comments for Craig real quick, you can send those in. If not, we'll be transitioning soon to our next speaker.
Yeah, I think the beginning of the interview was cut off, but yeah, Chris has built global education platforms, Sylvan Learning, Laureate University, Prometric testing, and as I said to him in the video, we're extremely fortunate to be part of the Avathon portfolio. And really, they're backstopping Amerigo and all of us, right? Because we're able to continue to do these great things. Last year, this year, and many years into the future. Hopefully, everyone was able to hear the valuable comments, Chris.
Great, thank you, Craig. And I'm sure you will be around for the rest of the event, Craig. So hopefully we will
not going anywhere.
We'll check in with you a little bit later. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, some exciting news. We are reaching max capacity for this event, so that's a good problem to have. And I just need a quick minute to rotate to our next presentation here. And before we do move forward into our next speaker, we want to remind everyone that we're giving away 3 Apple iPads and 3 Amazon gift cards to our most engaged business partners throughout this event. So please don't forget to take creative photos throughout your virtual or in-person experience, post on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, and show us your expression and your experience going through this virtual FAM tour today. Tag us within your post, use our hashtag on the screen, and if you post on time, you could be part of the winners that will be announced on April 9th. I'm going to let our next speakers into the room. I just need one quick second to do that. And there's Dee. Hello, good morning, Trent. Hey, Dee.
Hi, Mike.
Good morning.
Hi, Trent.
Looking sharp. I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen. So for those of you who do not know, we are joined for this presentation with Mr. Trent Smith, the Director of Operations here at Amerigo Education, who is a key integral part of our campus operations, and Mrs. Dee Hoehn. She's our Dean of Student Experience and overall responsible for our retention here with Amerigo and making sure that your students are staying on track in the dorms and also within the classroom. Trent, I'm going to share my screen.
Awesome.
And I'll control your slides. I'll wait for you to pause. So over to you.
Thank you, Mike. I can just get started. Wonderful to meet everyone in this virtual space. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our Amerigo business partners around the world. Thank you so much for making the time to join us for this virtual FAM tour. And we do look forward to seeing you in person. We hope that will happen very soon. Next slide. Thank you, Mike. So we're going to dive right into the topic for this session. Trent, my colleague Trent, and I are going to talk through our COVID and also looking into next year through 3 sections. First one is student health and safety. That is the foundation for everything. And at Amerigo, we take it very seriously at all times, especially this past year when we faced the COVID challenge, the pandemic challenge. And here I would also like to add that great thanks to all our business partners for your support and your trust and your understanding for the past year. And student experience is the core of what we offer at Amerigo. It's also what defines us. It is also what separates us from other high school experiences other providers offer to the students. And at the top is the student success. And we believe that's probably the #1 reason why our families and students choose Amerigo. So Trent and I will go through each of those sections and to tell you a little bit about what we have done and what we have set to do during the pandemic and also in the upcoming year. So Trent, I'll pass it to you to talk about the student health and safety and student experience, and I will wrap it up with the student success.
Great. Thank you so much, Dee. Greetings, everyone. So happy to be here and just want to extend appreciation on behalf of both Dee and I for the opportunity to speak with you all. As Dee mentioned, of course, we wish that this could be occurring in person and that we were together in one space. But for the time being, this will do, and we're excited to do it with you. So as Dee mentioned, we'll go through these 3 components one by one, and I'm really excited to first talk about the first part of our presentation, which focuses on the safety measures that we have implemented on our campuses to ensure that our students will be in a healthy and safe environment. Health and safety of our students has always been our #1 priority. And this is the single most important reason that we've been able to provide a safe environment throughout the pandemic for our students and for our staff. Because from the very beginning, our decisions have always been based on health and safety. It was a transition that was easy to be able to find the right ways to support our students as the factors around us changed. Through the decisions that we've made, we've thankfully been able to provide a safe haven, a safe environment for our students for 451 consecutive days and counting. Our campuses have been open for that long and continue to be open because our #1 goal is to support our students and provide them that safe space to be. As we know, this pandemic is dynamic and things change, sometimes rapidly. We're constantly up to date on how our environment is changing around us, and we're constantly using that information to make sure that the safety protocols we have in place help to maintain that safe environment, whether it means quarantine and social distancing, which of course we've employed since the beginning of the pandemic, but obviously have made adjustments as appropriate, whether it's PPE and all that sort of gear and travel requirements. All those pieces have been things that we've consistently stayed up to date on and adjusted as appropriate. So part of that success has come from the healthy environment that we created. The safe and healthy environment began with strong and informed return to campus procedures for both our staff and for our students alike. This was inclusive of making sure that our campuses were supplied with everything that was needed from a PPE perspective, and prepping our campus for the dynamics of the year that was to come. Again, our initial approach helped us to have strong and effective standards throughout the year. And even during instances like winter break, where there were departures, we had strong standards, strong procedures that allowed our campuses to remain healthy. And what that enabled, if you look back at the pyramid, and we don't need to go back to that slide, but I'm just referencing it, that strong foundation of health and safety on our campuses is what enabled us to continue to deliver on a fantastic experience in spite of all the restrictions. You can jump to the next one, Mike. Thank you. The other ingredient in making sure that our campuses continue to be safe places for our students was maintaining safe operations. As our campuses were able to move beyond that initial phase of a safe transition back to campus, the next priority was obviously being able to operate safely. Social distancing, as is widely known, was supremely important. And we applied that across all scenarios, whether it was meals, activities, study sessions. It was something that became a part of the way we operated on campus. Additionally, throughout the year, things like temperature checks have been a daily occurrence. We've got a daily questionnaire that points out anything of concern before it reaches campus so that we're able to maintain our safe bubble on our campus and keep our students and staff safe. And throughout each of these pieces is the common theme of establishing standard safeguards across our campuses that allowed our teams to confidently support our students. Even as things changed and encouragingly, as things like school sports and club activities opened back up, we were able to safely reintroduce our students to those opportunities, again, to continue to have that strong experience that we're passionate about providing for our students. All of those efforts to maintain a safe campus for our students and staff have helped us get to this position we are in today, where the vaccine begins to become available. And we're extremely excited to be in this position and to note what our country has done to protect folks who are here studying. The U.S. has thankfully been very efficient in distributing the vaccine thus far, as you can see, leading the world with over 128 million doses distributed. School and Amerigo staff, because they are essential workers, have begun the vaccination process. And you can see here that many of them have received at least the first of the 2 vaccination shots, and many have also received both. So what that's led to is in-person instruction, which we know is infinitely more rewarding for our students, is something that we're excited for them to get back to. All indications also point to our students having the vaccine available to them as the 2021 school year kicks off. And we are excited to, as that becomes available officially, to help coordinate opportunities for our students to receive the vaccine and allow them to do that so that they're able to get back into the classroom as safely as possible. So again, student health and safety, that's the foundation upon which everything else that we do rests. So it's extremely important to us that we cover that and that's something that we're extremely thorough about. Next, we'll talk about student experience, that second piece of the puzzle, creating a fulfilling and memorable experience for our students. And as Dee mentioned, that's one of the things that separates us as an organization. One of the groups or one of the parts of Amerigo of which I am so proud to talk about is our staff. From the routine to the special and unique, we have been able to create a lot of fun on our campuses. We've been able to provide really intentional support to our students, and it's all because of the staff members that we have that are so caring, that are so passionate, that are so educated in the realms of taking care of students. Our staff members have been committed to our students every day throughout this entire time period that the pandemic has been here, and obviously before that as well. And after it's over, they'll continue to be that way. But they've, I think, done an incredible job with working with our students throughout this pandemic, including organizing activities in spite of the restrictions, keeping in mind things like having 6 feet of distance in all activities, keeping in mind that we need to find activities where we're able to be private and be just with our own community members. And then also organizing activities like hot pot or like boba tea that are special and or meaningful to our students and have an impact on their experience. So the campus experience has been incredible, something that we're proud of in the light of everything that's going on. We are also proud that we have been able to pull off spring break activities for our campuses in spite of all the restrictions that we are following. As you can see here, our campuses are doing all sorts of fun, but also quite safe activities, including horseback riding, hiking in some of the regions that our students are nearby, and even renting these really impressive Airbnbs, private Airbnbs, where our students have been able to relax together, enjoy time, have had access to things like pools, basketball courts, all sorts of things like that, go-kart racing. And it's been a great solution this year for us, and something that our students have really enjoyed. And throughout the year, we have been inventive in creating meaningful experiences in a year that has been so hard, such as this Spirit Week activity. We had students dressing up in different themes and with different styles throughout the week, and prizes given out, which was a lot of fun across all of our campuses and helped to bond our students together. So that covers student health and safety and student experience. I will swing it back to my colleague Dee to take us through student success next.
Thank you, Trent. So last year has been challenging in many different ways. As many of you are aware that Amerigo has offered our students online learning platform for those that were not able to travel to the US or who prefer to study at home with their parents or in our China Learning Center. I think we all recognize online learning is not as effective as in-person learning. As you have heard from Craig and Chris, we are very optimistic about what next school year is going to look like. At the same time, when we stay conscious and continue to do all we can, as Trent mentioned, to keep our students healthy and safe, continue to engage them in learning activities on campus through virtual platform. And we're very hopeful to welcome all our students on campus in the new school year. So a lot of work has already started happening for us to prepare for the summer, what will happen in the summer and how we launch into the new school year. Here, just a glimpse of what might happen or what will happen next couple of months. Starting actually from today and April and May, we're looking to set up one-on-one meet and greet meetings between our new students and our DCOs for them to learn a little bit more about our campuses, meet the DCO, get a chance to ask DCO individual questions, and their parents are welcome to join those meetings. And those are one-on-one meetings between our campus director and the student and their families. And in the summer, June and July, we will be launching a series of pre-departure orientations. Some of them will be for our students from around the world, And there will also be parent orientations and to help them understand about Amerigo Promise and American high school system, as well as answer their questions about COVID and vaccine and what we do and to help our students to become successful while at the same time staying safe and healthy. And the last bit is August. This is when things get very busy on campus. We are looking to have our students to arrive probably late July, early August. And we will be running on-campus orientations on Amerigo campuses, as well as on this campus of our schools to help the students to get ready, launch into the next school year. Mike, next slide. Some of you might ask, what if the travel restrictions still in place? And I think particularly this applies to our Chinese students. For many of them who are in China, they had not been able to travel to the US without going through a third country. We are fully committed to help our students to travel to the US, even if the travel restrictions are not lifted. So I want to show you a very short video, and I'll ask my colleague Mike to help me to play that. And it's a short video that we took of a 2-week travel program that we did back in December. A dozen or so students traveled with 4 Amerigo staff members from China to the US, and they all arrived on campus safely and with good health, and they were able to start their spring semester on campus. Mike, if you could. Thank you, Mike. Apologize for the audio. It was just the music background, so apologize that if you couldn't hear it, and then you're not really missing a lot of content. And so this is a short video of the program that we run in December. And if the travel restrictions continue to be in place, and we're fully committed to conduct a program very similar to what I just showed you. In addition to that, we are also offering multiple enrichment programs to our students to enjoy during the summer. As we know that this past year, because the students are studying online and many of them are studying at home and back in their home country. And we realized this year could have meant that they have had a much less structured learning schedule, and their English language proficiency may also have had some setbacks because they didn't have the environment when they speak English on a daily basis. So we're offering multiple programs to help them to improve their English skills, prepare for their university application, as well as some really cool internship opportunities. I'm not going to dive into this because I know that my colleagues, Rob Schnieders and Katie, they will share with you more details about our summer programs during the next section of today's events. With that, I believe that's all our prepared slides. Perfect. Thank you, Mike. And we do see there are a couple of questions from the audience, so continue to send the question. We do have about maybe 5 minutes to answer the questions. So Trent, maybe I'll throw the first question to you about COVID test upon students' arrival.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dee. It's a great question, Irina. Let me just jump over to that one. So the overall answer is yes. When our students arrive here in the US, we have a thorough process that we take our students through to ensure that both that student and the rest of the community members will be safe, right? So we do have a quarantine period, and then once that students quarantine on campus with us under our staff supervision with 24-hour support from our staff, including meals and any sort of creature comforts that students may want, we're able to help provide for them. And then once that quarantine period is over, we do take the student to be tested for COVID and help provide that for them.
Hey, Trent, I'm sorry to interrupt here. So just so the audience knows, the question was, do you help students take the test after the arrival? And is it possible to have a COVID test on campus? And how much, that was the question. I'm not saying that so you can answer it again, Trent, but let's make sure the audience knows the question, and then we can go ahead and move on to the next one.
Sure. Cool.
So yeah, and you can see the question, so I'll let you head over to number 2.
Great. The next question as well was, do you help underage students with the transfer from the airport to the school? Absolutely. We pick all of our students up from the airport, and that's part of the service that we provide. That's part of making sure that our students feel welcome and supported from day one on an Amerigo campus. So we do pick our students up and make sure that they safely make it to our campus. This third question is also a great one. So this one reads, hello from Vietnam. I would like to know whether students can choose the type of vaccine that they want. So information about the vaccines being offered to students here in the US is still becoming available. As we know, there are a number of effective options that are being offered. It's not clear at this point whether students would be able to choose, but we can ensure that when vaccines are available, we would help students find ones that will help protect them from the virus. So that's what I can share in regard to that.
That's excellent, Trent. Dee, thank you all so much. No other questions right now. If anything else comes up during the show, we'll be sure to let you know, and we'll get those answers out to our attendees. All right, round of applause for Trent and Dee tackling a very critical topic. Thank you both for all that you do for Amerigo, and we're just so excited to continue forward with all these initiatives. You all have a good rest of your day. Hope you enjoy the show if you're staying on later, and we'll see you around soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mike.
All right, attendees. So just give me a minute. We have a couple more exciting guests coming up to talk about our academics and university outcomes. Before we do that, I just want to remind everyone again, before we get started, we are giving away 3 Apple iPad Airs and 3 Amazon gift cards. Please post your engagement. Take some really creative photos with your colleagues and friends, whether you're in country or attending virtually. Tag us within your post on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Use our hashtag, and we will be announcing winners by April 9th. Okay, I'm going to be letting in our upcoming speakers. Give me one quick second here. All right, Ms. Katie Blue, the Director of University Advising, will be hopping in, and also Mr. Rob Schnieders, our Chief Academic Officer. One second, Rob, letting you in right now. All right, we'll give them just a second here to enter the room.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Katie.
Hi, Mike, and everyone.
Hello, Rob. Thank you too so much for taking time out of your day to address our attendees. This will last about 15 to 20, 30 minutes, and we'll spend some time after with Q&A. Thank you all so much. The microphone is yours.
Wonderful. So my name is Rob Schnieders. As Mike mentioned, I'm the Chief Academic Officer at Amerigo Education. I'm joined by my colleague, Katie Blue, who heads up all of our university advising. And together we have the unique privilege to work with our students as they make their journey onward toward college. And we'll talk about our advising model and some exciting outcomes that we have so far this year. Great. So one of the questions that comes to us from families and business partners is, how does the U.S. university system evaluate students, and what's important in their high school preparation process? And one of the things to note, and we'll talk about our university outcomes, is that our students are actually attending university in the US as well as Canada, the UK, many different parts of Asia, and Australia next year as well. But the US certainly is the majority still. And it has some unique considerations when students apply. And typically what we say is, if you're ready to apply to a US top university, that you'll actually be able to apply to other universities quite readily. So in other words, if you're ready to attend a top US university, there are slight modifications to our approach and strategy for Canada, the UK, and other destinations that we take into account. But what we're going to talk about mainly today is the US. So on this diagram, we talk about 4 or 5 different main components of a student's competitiveness or readiness. One important thing to note this year is that with the SAT and ACT becoming optional again for the second year due to COVID and the difficulties around test administration, some of these percentages have shifted, and we'll talk about that. So I want to begin with the upper right, and clearly the most important thing for a student to make sure that they're ready for success in university is really the rigor, or the sort of course selection and difficulty of their high school courses and their achievement in those courses. So it's important to undertake a rigorous curriculum, but also to do well in those courses. In ordinary years, moving around the wheel, the SAT, the ACT, and TOEFL are also important. This year, since most universities in the US are test optional, meaning that if a student submits that score, it will be evaluated, or test blind, meaning that the university is not even looking at SAT and ACT test scores this year. That has shrunk relative to the proportion of the other elements. TOEFL is still important. Our students at Amerigo, due to our English language enrichment, tend to not have difficulties with TOEFL. So that's a great benefit of being educated in a primary English language environment. And oftentimes parents and counselors struggle to understand, why is the SAT or ACT just a small percentage of this wheel? And that's why it's important to talk about today. So moving from there, extracurriculars, so activities, leadership opportunities, sports, music, and theater, all help make a student unique And that's what, as admission officers, so Katie was one and I was one at one time, we look at the well-rounded student. And so one way to think about this is that your course rigor and your GPA and your SAT and ACT kind of get you in the door. And it's the other things that make you unique and move you past then into an admitted student. Essays are important, and we work with each student on their personal statements, their supplemental essays. We'll talk about how we do that. And then letters of recommendation. So typically, 2 or more letters from your high school teachers and others that can speak to your unique characteristics. That's good on this one, Mike. So again, on the test optional enrollment changes, this is something that is in place right now for the students that we have as seniors who applied in the fall of last year and are now admitted, as well as next year's seniors. So if you're an 11th grader, much of the same trend will likely take place. So one of the things that we saw is that U.S. universities in general experienced slightly fewer applications. However, the most competitive U.S. universities, so think of that as the top 100 or top 50, actually saw considerably more applications. And this was, again, a byproduct of the test optional process, where students who had successful, sort of high school careers from a grade point standpoint could apply to many more universities. So the implication then for this is really, if you're a student, we recently wrote a blog post about this, it's key to be interesting, right? So with many more applications in a competitive environment, it's really important as a 9th grader, a 10th grader, 11th grader to be quite involved. So we're really looking for students at universities that understand why they're applying to particular universities, what's special about that university and that program for the student. And also, as Katie and I counsel students, and our colleagues do as well, looking to make sure that a student has a balanced list. So if top 50 is going to be quite competitive, and we're quite fortunate to have many successful students in that realm this year, and we'll talk about that. It's also important to look at schools that are a great fit for a student that might be outside of that category as well. Katie, I'll pass it over to you.
Great, thanks, Rob. Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Blue. I'm Amerigo's Director of University Advising, and I am in the privileged role of being able to not only work with our students one-on-one, but also to be able to work with each one of our campus staff members who are helping to support our students on their path to university at a particular campus. So today I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about what that looks like and how we bring our University Advantage programming to our student body. So the first and most important thing to note is that our university advising model is a 4-year model. So we are meeting students sort of where they are, both age-wise, their grade level in high school, and just sort of academically with their readiness for the next step, which would be pursuing higher education in the US, or like we discussed in Canada, UK, and other parts of the world. So what does this mean? Really what this means is that, we're not talking to a 9th grade student about writing their personal statement. That's a 12th grader activity, right? Or a second semester 11th grader activity. So we're really making sure that our students understand how American high school works and how each grade level has different goals, different tasks to achieve, items to think about that will help a student's profile for university admission to be built from 9th grade and have a strong foundation where we build upon not only their knowledge of how high school works, but upon how to, get involved in the right kind of activities, how to select courses that are rigorous, but that they can achieve well in. And we build upon that foundation year over year. Can we go to the next slide, please? So we want to give you an idea of what that looks like. So for a typical 9th and 10th grader at Amerigo, we are talking to the students a great deal about academic advising. Academic advising is not just picking courses for 1 year, right? Academic advising is making sure that a young high school student understands not only how the courses they choose this academic year matter, but how they lead to the ability to take other courses in their later years of high school. In American high schools, ninth graders are not taking AP courses, for example. Right? It's very unlikely that any high school is enrolling ninth graders in AP. It's actually unlikely that many 10th graders are taking AP, right? Or at least that they're not taking a significant number of AP courses. Maybe they have one or two. And so what we're working with students on with academic advising and course selection is understanding how do you get to those more rigorous courses in your high school? What kind of performance do we need to demonstrate? And also, are you making sure that you're taking the appropriate courses to graduate from your high school and to be academically admissible to university when you're a 12th grader? We are leading workshops for our students in 9th and 10th grade that happen on a global level. So I will offer global advising sessions. They happen virtually, so our students can log in from wherever they might be in the world to learn about topics that are relevant to all 9th graders or all 10th graders. And then importantly, we have staff members on every one of our campuses who work individually or in small groups with the 9th graders and 10th graders at their high school to help move them forward in our university conversations as well. 9th and 10th grade is also a critical time where we are making sure that students understand why extracurricular activities are important. And really, this is why we prefer to have students begin with us in 9th or 10th grade, because extracurricular activities take time. It takes time for a student to get involved, to know how to really sink into the activities at their high school, and how to build to leadership positions in 11th and 12th grade. In 11th grade, this is when we really begin to ramp up the preparation for the actual application process. So for 11th grade students, we are having regular conversations with them, both virtually, in person, in small groups, where we're talking to them about how to choose their major, how to build a university list, how to understand admission to state universities in the state where they are going to high school, right? So we have students going to our LA campus. We want to make sure that they understand how University of California admits and how Cal State admits. We are talking to our 11th grade students about their personal statement, the personal branding in their application, making sure that their story comes through. We're helping them understand letters of recommendation, transcripts, all of sort of these administrative and functional pieces of the application come together in 11th grade. As students head into 12th grade, this is when we're getting to work, right? So in 12th grade, it's sort of too late at this point for us to be having conversations about how you build your extracurricular profile, right? Because 12th graders will come back to their high school after the summer, typically in late August or early September. And the earliest applications for admission in the US will be due around October 15th. Most of our students will be applying to a November 1st deadline. So if they get back to school in September, we really only have about 2-3 months maybe to complete the application process, at least for their first round, right? So in 12th grade, we're really getting to work, and our campuses begin working one-on-one with 12th graders as soon as we get back. We're helping them to solidify their university list, to put the finishing touches on their personal statement, to build their supplemental essays, to make sure that all of these things are coming together. We're talking to them about scholarships and how to apply for those. So 12th grade is really where we begin working in a very specific and direct way with every one of our students to make sure that they are working toward their own personal goal. So what I wanted to share with everyone now is a little bit about the special programs that we offer to students, or the selective programs that we offer to students here at Amerigo. Let's go ahead with the slide. All right, great. So the first one we're going to discuss is the Amerigo Global Scholars Program. I look at the Amerigo Global Scholars Program sort of like a dean's list at the university level, right? So the Global Scholars Program exists on each one of our campuses. They nominate students to be identified as global scholars. And this is really a way for us to recognize our students, grades 9 through 12, based perhaps on academics, but also on those other characteristics and skills that make them great community members. So our global scholars might be fantastic artists or great leaders within the dorm community on their campus. And so they are nominated by their DCOs and other staff members to be a part of the Global Scholars Program. The advantages to a Global Scholars Program include premier registration access for our summer programs with Amerigo. We host a spring college tour in a normal year. Of course, this year that was postponed because of COVID, but hopefully next year we'll be organizing a multi-university tour that students can sign up for. They are identified as global scholars within our Amerigo University Network, which is a group of universities that we work very closely with, who are interested in our students. They know the Amerigo model. They know the English level ability of our students, the academic ability and the extracurricular ability of our students, and they are looking for a diverse and interesting pool of international students to engage with in university admission and conversation. We make sure that our global scholars are including their participation in this program on things like their resume and their extracurricular activities when it comes time to apply to university. And I engage with our global scholars in 11th grade to help them evaluate their university lists to make sure that they are on track for their individual application process. The next program we're going to look at, Mike, if you'll advance this slide, is the Amerigo Honors Track. The Amerigo Honors Track began this year. So in August of 2020, we enrolled our first Amerigo Honors Track cohort. These students are in grades 9 through 12. The Honors Track is a bit different than Global Scholars. So Global Scholars students are nominated by their campuses. A key difference for the Amerigo Honors Track is that these students must qualify for the program. We'll look in just a minute at the qualifications and what that means, but there are strict and very high expectations for qualification based on a student's GPA, their English proficiency, and their performance in our program throughout the course of the year. So students who qualify for the Amerigo Honors Track will be invited. They can opt into the program. They are expected to participate in all of the activities that we provide. So they will have regular and direct engagement with me through group webinars, through regular one-on-one meetings, through essay advising, college interview prep, scholarship application conversations. This is really an opportunity for me as the director of University of Advising and Rob Schnieders as well to work with some of our most talented academic students who are really setting themselves apart as they move through the college readiness and ultimately the application process. The advantage to the Amerigo Honors Track for seniors who are involved in the program is that for those who are admitted and choose to enroll in a US top 30 national university or a top 10 liberal arts and science university, Amerigo will award up to $15,000 for their first year of tuition at that school. So there's a real incentive for our seniors who are in this program to remain eligible, to make sure they're participating, and to engage with us in a way that gives them good feedback so that we're increasing their likelihood of admission into those programs that would award them a scholarship. Right, Mike? This is just a quick look at the qualifications for the honors track based on grade level. There's a lot of information here, right? But what we really hope you take away from this conversation is that the honors track is looking for our most talented academic students, and through participation in our program is trying to make them interesting. right? So we're helping them not only be outstanding academically, but to really engage in their communities, to build their extracurricular profiles, to stay motivated toward reaching their own goals of university admission, even though that might be 2 or 3 years down the road for them when they begin in the honors track. Another key takeaway that we want everyone to have with this slide is that students can qualify over time. So maybe a student doesn't qualify for the honors track at the beginning of their 10th grade year, but if they are meeting the qualifications at the beginning of their 11th grade year, they can be invited into the program. So we'll continue to bring students into the program as they qualify. Okay, Mike, I think we're ready. We're going to look here just quickly at our summer programs as well. So part of being interesting and building your university profile almost always includes summer activities. Often our students are using summertime to prep for things like a TOEFL and SAT. And while that can be a good use of time, it's actually not what we recommend, right? So we recommend that if you're going to be participating in test prep over the summer, don't let that be your entire summer. Right? So we want to make sure that you're using the time that you're not in school to be engaging in internships or job shadowing, participation in programs that take place on university campuses or that show engagement with the field that you want to study. Summer is really an opportunity for students to not just do one thing, but maybe to add in a variety of activities, to plan for their next year of high school and how they'll continue to improve their profile over time. So this year with our summer program, students are, of course, able to choose a stay throughout the summer with Amerigo at 2 of our participating campuses. While they are staying with us, we have the opportunity for them to do some virtual internships, which are really exciting and pretty interesting for our kids to look at. There's a TOEFL preparation option that our students can do in partnership with Western Washington University. There's academic enrichment programs that actually last for just 2 weeks, but will allow students who are interested in maybe engineering or computer science to engage with a practitioner of that work in the field and learn more about what that job means, right? What does it really look like to be in these roles professionally, and to help them identify majors and tracks towards their career that might really fit for them. So there's lots of opportunities at Amerigo to stay engaged in our summer programs. If you have been coming to the Amerigo FAM Tour year over year, you may remember that last year we talked a great deal about our partnership with Stanford and Northwestern and University of Chicago. We continue to be in close contact with those universities about summer programs and through our partnerships, but understandably with the COVID pandemic and the challenges that has presented to any kind of in-person interaction, a number of our summer programs have been postponed or canceled for this current summer. So we continue to evaluate summer programs to bring new and different interesting opportunities in year over year. Okay, Mike, next slide. All right, and I'm going to turn it over to Rob now to do perhaps the most interesting part of this conversation, which is to look at our university outcomes.
Thanks, Katie, and that's very generous of you to allow me to share this information. And Mike, maybe there's a drum roll that we could do, but no. So what you're sorry, you can go ahead and move on to the next slide. So what you're seeing here is the result of the early decision, early application, and some of the early regular decision outcomes that are coming in for our Amerigo seniors. And so this does not yet represent an entirely complete list, but it's exciting to note that we have amongst these, as you'll see, Georgetown University, University of Michigan, University of Virginia, so many top schools. Just actually overnight, we received word that we have a student from our Chicago campus admitted to UC Berkeley. So more great news continues to roll in. Within this, though, we also have students that are going to top 10 programs in business or engineering, health science, aeronautical engineering. And that's really our objective, is to find a student's unique interests and talents and help advise them in a direction that really prepares them for success in their career, but also happiness, right? So it's important that we get to know, and we really do, all of our students and counsel them. I think one thing to note too is that we really enjoy working with our business partners, with our families. If there's any interest in interacting with us, together, that's definitely something that Katie and I and our team members would welcome. We're often talking to families and students together, for instance. So I think that's the information that we had hoped to share. I imagine that we probably have some questions coming in.
Awesome, Katie and Rob, thank you so much. Rob, you did answer that one question in the Q&A box, but maybe present that live, if you don't mind. Repeat the question and answer it live. That'd be great.
Certainly. So yeah, thanks for the question on online language development. I did type in a response. So in general, around language development, English language development, we have a course that's taught at 3 levels during the school day in our schools by our teachers. And additional support in the evening that is course specific. So students that might need help with advanced language around physics or writing receive that in the evening. We are teaching that course online this year, the same content. And interestingly, we are seeing language growth for our online students, which is wonderful. But of course, there's nothing that beats being in person in a primary language environment at our campuses. So, I mentioned that Amerigo students who are with us for multiple years do not struggle with, TOEFL and English proficiency. And that's really because they're living and learning in a English language environment. So that is, and then there was also a question about TOEFL prep and SAT prep, and we do offer those both during the school year as well as in the summer.
Excellent. Thank you, Rob. We did have one question asking whether or not we will share this whole event recording. Yes, we will do our best to get this event out to our global enrollment team so they can share it with our business partners. We're at the top of the hour here from Chicago, Illinois. And Katie and Rob, thank you again so much for all that you do for our students, for our company. And we're just really excited to see the final outcomes for fall 2021. Thank you both.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, everyone.
Sure. Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Okay, attendees from all over the world, we have one more session to go here. We're going to be loading up a video from Nirmeen, our education consultant that's been working with us on building our Canada program. I'll just need a minute to load up this file. Thank you, Katie and Rob, for exiting the stage. Meanwhile, and one more quick reminder that we are giving away 3 Apple iPad Airs and some gift cards to our most engaged attendees today. Be sure to take your most creative photos of you having fun and just learning more about Amerigo Education using our hashtag and posting to your favorite social media accounts. We will be announcing these winners by April 9th. All right, so one more video to go. I'm going to ask my team at home to give me a good audio check to make sure this everybody at home can hear this.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Canada 101.
1 second, I will share my screen. Okay, screen is being shared. 1 second here. Get up my video. Sorry for the delay. Okay, here we go. We're moments away here from presenting Canada 101, understanding the education and study abroad experience. And I'm going to roll that clip right now.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Canada 101 session. I'm really excited to be here today. My name is Nirmeen Hasan. I thought I would kick off today's session by talking about the Canadian market, kind dynamics and how international student enrollment is grown in Canada. Next, I will move on to speaking about why Canada, in terms of this market, makes sense for Amerigo from an expansion perspective. So while the United States continues to be the global leader in hosting international students, other English-speaking countries have been growing their population of their international students for a while. As an example, over the last decade, international students have grown from upwards of 100,000 students to more than 318,000 students in Canada. This growth has resulted in over 57% growth in total program enrollments across Canada. If you look at the chart over here, in 2001, the US had a 28% share of the market from an international student perspective, and that has dropped in 10 years to 24%. And markets like Canada, which didn't exist in 2001, have grown to 7% of the international student population. So significant growth. From a Canada market dynamics perspective, recently we've had over 100,000 international students in the secondary level, with Ontario and BC being the two most popular provinces in hosting international students. At this point, Canada has a goal to increase this number to 450,000 by 2022. That's quite an aggressive goal. At a school level, all public and private secondary schools have the ability to enroll international students, and the large majority of schools are government-funded Catholic schools. There are approximately 3,400 secondary schools in Canada compared to roughly about 2,800 CVS certified secondary schools, and the average enrollment for all of these schools is roughly about 350 students. From a pricing perspective, the international student tuition is much less compared to the US market. On average, an international student will spend about Canadian 14,000 in a publicly funded school, and about 10,000 for their homestay costs, which adds up to about 20,000 Canadian dollars, which is roughly about 20,000 US dollars. At private school level, students can spend roughly about 60,000, which includes their boarding and their tuition. And we know that Columbia International College charges about $40,000 for a full international experience. So why Canada? I thought I would kick off this section with a quote from our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, who is the 23rd Prime Minister of Canada in 2015. He's best known for his respect for and promotion of diversity and equality. So in terms of Canada as a country, I thought I would share some of the facts. It is the second largest country in the world. It is so large that it has 6 time zones. You could fit 81,975 Disney Worlds in Canada. The village of Alert in Nunavut is the northernmost permanent settlement in the world, just 817 kilometers from the North Pole. So you can imagine how cold it is over there. 5 of Canada's national parks are near Toronto, which is amazing. It's beautiful. Canada has 2 million lakes and 243,000 kilometers of coastline, the longest in the world. Toronto is one of the most popular cities outside of Vancouver in Canada. It has a population of 2.93 million with 40 million visitors each year. It has been ranked consistently as one of the safest countries in North America. It has over 1,500 parks and 10 million trees, home to about 8,000 restaurants, the only city in Canada with 7 major sports teams. So that's a very exciting venue and activity for our Canadian fans. Canada has been a land of immigrants since the 16th century. The current annual immigration, we have roughly about 300,000 people come into Canada each year. It's one of the highest rates per population in the world. We have people, we welcome immigrants from 200 different countries each year. 57% of them are from Asia. And another interesting fact is the top 5 countries of birth for foreign-born citizens is India, China, Philippines, the UK, and surprisingly the US. Canada is ranked number 3 in international student population. From a safety perspective, it's ranked number 11 in global Finance 2019 list of the world's safest countries. The US News and World Reports ranks Canada as the second best country in the world in 2020. And the factors that contribute to our high quality of life and safety include a stable economy, low risks of natural disaster, low crime rate, violence rate, really good job market and income equality, and a very well-developed education system and public health system. So why study in Canada? There are many different reasons. Starting off, it is an English-speaking country, so most people and regions in Canada use English as a primary language. It is one of the safest countries in the world, consistently ranked as one of the United Nations best countries in the world to live. It's a multicultural, very friendly environment, very welcoming to newcomers, with a government policy mandating diversity and equality. It's affordable tuition, scholarship opportunities. The overall cost of studying in Canada is much more affordable than the United States. We have very favorable immigration policies here. Foreign students who have studied and worked in Canada do not need to leave the country. We have very high employment rates. Over 90% of Canadian alums are able to find a job within 6 months. And Canada offers great work opportunities for students while they're in school and after they graduate. We have great universities, which are known worldwide. Universities like University of Toronto, McGill University, British Columbia, McMaster, and Waterloo, and many more. Some other interesting statistics, and this was very surprising to me as well, but in 2018, international students in Canada contributed $21.6 billion to Canada's GDP. So that's a huge number if you think about it, and if you think about the growth that the government is mandating and is projecting, you kind of understand why they want more international students to come to Canada. It's one of the world's third leading destinations for international students, with roughly in 2020, we have 642,000 foreign students in all levels of education. Canada's international student population has grown by roughly 13% in 2019. I think 2020 took a bit of a dip. Overall, in 2019, we saw 404,000 international students renew their study permits, either renew or get their study permits. The Canadian Bureau of International Education shows international students chose Canada due to the country's strong quality of education. Roughly 60% of international students have reported to CBIE that they're interested in becoming permanent residents. It's one of the most attractive factors and features of people coming into Canada. For people coming into Canada, with the government's focus on recruiting and retaining international students, there's no better destination for students to come into Canada, especially high school students, and then pursue their education further on at the graduate level. Next, we'll talk about why Toronto. It's one of the largest cities in Canada, roughly about 2.8 million people. It's one of the world's most multicultural cities, with over 70 plus ethnic groups. Toronto itself is Canada's financial hub, the IT hub. It's ranked by Forbes as the third best city to live in the world, and it's one of the most global cities on earth, with 50% of the population born outside of Canada. It's pretty interesting. Here are some top Canadian universities. As you can see here, we have the Canadian rankings 1 through 10. That's actually 9, and then you'll see equivalent what the equivalent world ranking is. So pretty highly renowned universities. The US World University Rankings report includes 26 top Canadian universities, and the top 10 Canadian universities are listed over here. They fall within the first 250 top universities in the world. So next we'll jump into our partnership, Amerigo's partnership with Villanova, and talk a little bit about why Villanova College has roughly 346 total students. 98% of their students graduates have been accepted at first university of choice. They have an advanced STEM program, which is an exclusive application-only program led by professional engineers. They have a teacher advisor program where students are paired up with a teacher who guides them both academically and in social matters. They have interdisciplinary learning, so they offer an integrated curriculum with math, business, design, computer science, and they have state-of-the-art facilities, includes a 17,000 square foot triple gymnasium, indoor running track, and obviously a kind of outdoor running trail as well. From a student achievements perspective, 100% of their students are accepted to college or university. That's a huge accomplishment. 98% of their students are accepted into their top choice. Roughly about $1.7 million of scholarships have been earned by the VC class of 2020. 89% of students, an average grade received by the Villanova College students. Roughly about 134 AP exams have been taken, and 9 courses that are significantly more than you would get at a typical Canadian school. From a university acceptance perspective, from the class of 2020, roughly 11% of their students were accepted at University of Toronto, 7% at University of Waterloo, 5% at McMaster, 3% at Queen's. These are all fantastic universities with many, many different majors, which are very well ranked in the Canadian higher university system. For the class of 2020, again, an average of 8 university acceptances were received per student, so they were accepted at 8 universities on average, and 95% of the graduates were Ontario scholars. So that's again another huge accomplishment, which kind of speaks to why they were accepted in so many wonderful universities. From Villanova International Student Support System, I want to talk a little bit about the whole network of staff that supports the students, and this is something that Amerigo has been designing in partnership with Villanova for the past number of months. So there's a total of 6 staff members who are part of the student support network. There's the provincial director who is responsible for the overall student experience, managing the homestay and the academic environment, responsible for timely communication with the parents. There's an ESL teacher who ensures the students receive lessons tailored to their abilities. An international admissions counselor who serves as a liaison between the school and the on-site staff. The international student support counselor who works very closely with the students to ensure they're thriving academically and emotionally. The university guidance counselor who helps the students through the entire university admissions process. And then finally, an international staff member stationed in 7 different countries to ensure the student doesn't face any language barriers. Next, we'll talk a little bit about Amerigo's partnership with Canada Homestay Network. So Amerigo has partnered with Canada Homestay Network to provide homestay programs for the international students. The program provides host family management and support through which the host family and students will stay informed of the school-related matters, and parents will receive regular communication regarding the child's performance and satisfaction. This program also provides transportation and orientation for the students when they arrive in Canada, and again, constant updates with the parents. And then finally, the program provides insurance and emergency management should the student need it at any point. In addition to the academic and support services, VC's homestay program will also provide the students with a space in a room for them to stay while they're residing with their host family, nutritious meals twice a day during the week and 3 meals during the weekend. Generally, the host family will stay within a commutable distance from the school, so transportation is provided, and the student will be welcomed into a caring family who will ensure they get a complete and satisfying experience for learning about Canadian customs and cultures. When we look at the homestay program that Amerigo has designed and compare it with the there are some points that stand out would differentiate our program in a better way. So notably, the Amerigo students will have a dedicated admissions counselor who will ensure all questions and concerns are being addressed in a timely manner, and the student and parents are able to make well-informed decisions. There's an extensive support system where the student is supported by the 6 staff members that I talked about earlier. Students will work with university guidance who support the students through their university application system. This is again unique, and the student has an academic support in addition, which includes exclusive tutoring to make sure that they're getting all. From a safety perspective, there's on-site homestay staff. They oversee each student's well-being and their health. Again, parents are regularly in communication with the parents to make sure that they're getting monthly reports. As part of the student experience, they're taking monthly field trips with other international students to explore local attractions and learn more about Canada. From a transportation perspective, VC will arrange for airport transportation to make sure that the students are well cared for. And then they're regularly communicating with the parents to ensure that the parents are in touch and feel like they're part of the experience. So this is where we are. I hope this session was helpful to everybody. And, I hope it was informative, and I know we will have some books available for Q&A if there are questions. Thank you for joining me in the session, and hope to speak with people again soon.
All right, so lots of amazing information right there, packed in a tight 30-minute session from Nirmeen. She does apologize that she could not attend the live session, but good news, we have Mr. Trent Smith, the Director of Operations, back on camera here to answer any live questions that you might have regarding our new partnership with Villanova College and our new operations in Canada. Trent, we do have some questions coming in already. Can you see them, or would you like me to read them to you?
I can see them. Thank you, Mike. That works perfectly. And thank you to Nirmeen for presenting. So the first one is a great question. So from Irina, do you have residential accommodation for VC students near the school? So we will be offering to all of our students who study at Villanova College homestay residential accommodation for those students, and we're really excited about the families that we'll be partnering with through our homestay program in Canada. All of these families will be in close proximity to the school to provide a reasonable commute to the school each and every day, and Villanova College has been a great partner, and we'll be helping to provide that transportation. So we are excited about that residential accommodation for our students. The next question that came through, and I'll go ahead and read it aloud, is there a center of AP examinations around Villanova College? What percentage of students who have taken AP exams from the total number of students? So Villanova College is a school that is focused really intently on the academic achievements of their students. As you saw in Nirmeen's presentation, they offer more AP courses than many of the schools in Canada do. And so a large percentage of their students are involved in courses of that level, whether it has the AP denomination or something similar. So it is something certainly that's a focus in Canada and at Villanova College, and is something that's accessible. You know, I think one of the questions is there a convenient location for people to take AP exams? And yes, there is. In the last question from Wendy, is VC going to have an on-campus residence in 2022? Our approach with Villanova College is a homestay approach, and we're very excited about that option in Canada. And in the Toronto and King City area, there are some outstanding families involved with the school and some outstanding families in that area. And we're really excited about putting our students in those locations and having them experience what it is to be a part of a family in Canada, with also on the ground support from Amerigo through multiple facets, through multiple individuals with different skill sets. So a lot of that same Amerigo support and feel will be a part of this program.
Thank you, Trent. There was one comment. Is it possible for students to transfer from the US to our Canada partner? I don't know if you want to tackle that, Trent. If not, I could give it a whirl.
Sure, I'll jump in, and then Mike, if you have anything to add, that works as well. We'd love to support our students, even if they are current ones, in achieving the education experience that they desire, right? So if there are students who are interested in that, that's certainly a conversation that we could have, and we could work with that student, that family, to figure out what the best option is for them. So certainly on the table.
Great. Yeah, I have nothing more to add to that, Trent. Thank you so much. So there you are. We have knocked out 4 workshops today in our virtual FAM tour, and the event is just getting started. That is going to conclude the first portion of the virtual FAM tour for our special topic focused workshops today. We have more to come later today. Session 2 will present our 4 special highlights of our tour, of our schools. I'm sorry, tongue's a little tied right now. So please be sure to log in early in the morning for those who are tuning in from across the world. Tomorrow morning, we'll be showcasing all of our 3 highlights of campus tours, Villanova College, and 3 of our premier high schools within the United States. Mr. Jonas Zhang and the product specialist team have some really cool surprises for everybody who can make those sessions and tune in to get that deeper insight into our schools within the hallways, bringing in school staff. It's going to be an exciting time tomorrow morning. And reminder, we're giving away 3 Apple iPad Airs, some Amazon gift cards. Show us your engagement and post on your preferred social media outlet, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Show us your experience today, and that contest will be going on throughout the next 48 hours. And my name is Mike. It's been a pleasure to be your host today. We are going to continue our live YouTube broadcast tomorrow as well. And so that is going to be readily available now on YouTube after this is over, if you need to grab it and share it with others who are not able to attend. Until then, thank you so much. And everyone here at Amerigo Education, thanks you for your attendance, and we look forward to seeing you very soon. Thank you again. Take care.